if you had to build a launch strategy for the 4-Hour Workweek in 2022 versus 2007, otherwise known as 2007, what strategies and channels would you employ? Which strategies would stay consistent from 2007 and why? I think the crux decision, which was to engage with people in person at events. At the time, those were predominantly bloggers. Now that might be different, but not necessarily. Blogs are still actually a thing, despite what people may think. But that core approach to taking the uncrowded channel of engaging with people in person at events in recreational settings over drinks would remain consistent. And you could remove every other prong of the 4-Hour Workweek launch strategy. If I simply executed well again on that type of in-person engagement, I think the book would still be a success today. And to reiterate how I did that, or to give one example, I would go to the after party after some conference event where people are on panels. And sometimes I would approach them afterwards. Very often when I would approach a panel, I would not approach the panelists who are getting mobbed. I would approach the moderator, who is undeservedly neglected a lot of times in cases like this, and chat with the moderator, usually asking a handful of follow-up questions, which are sincere questions about the topics on the panel. They would at some point generally ask me, well, what are you doing here? Why are you here? And I would say, it's my first time at this event. I just finished writing my first book. It's this, this, and this. It's based on guest lectures I gave at Princeton University from 2000X to 2000Y. And I'm trying to figure out how to launch a book, since it's really on me. The publisher effectively prints and ships books. I have to figure out how to market this. Is there anyone you think I might want to meet? Is there anyone you think I might get along with? And then they would make a referral, and I would be on to the next referral. And I would repeat something like that each time. Separately, if I came upon, say, a group of people, bloggers, let's just say I knew at least one blogger was in this group, at a bar, they'd be talking and I would wander up and I would say something like, hey guys, do you mind if I join in and just listen in? And they'd be like, whatever, fine. And so I'd hang out, and if I finished my drink first, I'd be like, hey, does anyone else need a drink? Like, don't be a fucking weirdo, just be a normal person. But anyway, like, hey, does anyone else need a drink? I'm going to grab another one. Okay, great. Get a couple of drinks. And eventually somebody in the group would be like, so what's your story? Who are you? Why are you here? And I would give some answer along the lines of what I just mentioned. And then I would just stop. I would not start pitching. I would not immediately start humping their legs to ask them if they wanted to read an advanced copy or something like that. But I would say that, and then I would sort of leave the window open to more questions. And then I would see if anyone took the bait. And if they did, that is an indicator of, at least I took it as an indicator of interest. So let's say one of the people was like, well, okay, so you said your book is, what's the book about? And then I would elaborate. And then maybe they would ask some follow-up questions. And then at some point I would simply say, look, it might not be of any interest to you. I totally understand if you're just too busy, but there are, I think, maybe 1 or 2 chapters that would be really interesting to you. If you'd like, I mean, I have a ton of advanced copies. I could just send you a copy and put in some Post-it notes for the 20 pages or so that I think would be most interesting. And I would say, I don't know, 60, 70% of the time that I went up to one of those groups, at least one person would be like, yeah, that sounds cool. Yeah, totally. Yeah, please send it. And that is a high labor approach that also can have a very, very high ROI. And I would replicate that. I still think in-person is the least crowded. It just takes a set of skills that most people have neglected, I think, in a world where everything is thought to be digital and text first via email. The interpersonal piece, I think, gets lost a bit, and the ability to navigate social dynamics in a way that is interesting but not overwhelming or irritating takes practice. You got to practice this stuff. And fortunately, I got a lot of practice doing that on the phone and in person in my first job out of college, which was being an outside sales rep for fiber channel storage area networks, I had to learn how to navigate this stuff. So in person still works, or it can work.